loaded all the fruits and all the vegetables and grains. I kept them for myself but made a price that you could pay. And from this early pattern a structure did become, and that's about the only thing that governments have done. I hired you to work for me so you could buy my food. Created an economy that barely gave a clue. Then you did all the labor but I got all the funds, and that's about the only thing that governments have done. I built a giant fortress where my family could reside. I filled your workers up with myths of patriotic pride. I filled my life with luxury and politics and fun, and that's about the only thing that governments have done. I sent the children off to schools to be taught and trained in the roles that benefit and keep the system maintained. I kept them from their history and slowly made them dumb, and that's about the only thing that governments have done. I launched 1,000,000 wars in the name of private greed. Killed off all the natives from the mountains to the sea. I murdered them with slavery and smallpox and guns, and that's about the only thing that governments have done. I built with brick a place for those who wouldn't play my game, who refused to fight my wars for me or papers to my name. I built a giant prison wall so people couldn't run, and that's about the only thing that governments have done. I gave some of you back some freedom with my civil bill of rights. Used all the proper language so you wouldn't ride the fight. I fooled y'all with imagery, now look what I've become, and that's about
Hi, sir. We're doing a little bit of community outreach here. I wanted to show you this petition I had and talk to you guys for a moment. Would that be all right?
No, I'm stuck in this room, so I can't come out and talk to you.
Then you did all the labor, but I got all the funds, and that's about the only thing that governments have done.
Ultimately, we want to ask some of you guys' perspective on the Bearcat vehicle.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, are you guys employees of the police department? There's a petition some folks started, but essentially we're wondering what your thoughts were on the Bearcat that was applied for.
No, I'm on city time right now, and I'm getting paid by the city, so I'm not gonna answer. I'm on city time right now, and I'm getting paid by the city, so I'm not.
See your video and audio recording?
Yeah, that's fine.
Just what? Yeah, go ahead.
We wanted to ask, ultimately we're looking for some of your perspective from the police force here in Keene in regard to the Bearcat vehicle.
Yep.
So, I mean, just your thoughts on that. Do you have any type of an opinion either way on whether that's a good use of tax dollars from the American people?
I really don't have an opinion either way.
No?
No.
Maybe you should think about it. This is really something that we all as a community need to sit down and think about.
Well, you'll have your opportunity to speak at the FOP meeting.
Your
Do
officer.
you think that most
Simons.
Officer, hi. Officer, so what's your first name?
Chris.
Chris, hi.
Chris, I'm
Kelly.
Dave. Excuse us for
Nice to meet
lack
you.
of a
Look, we see you as a member of the community.
Mhm.
Okay, look, we're trying to get along. We're trying to do some outreach here and
Yep.
see if we can't sort of come to terms on an issue together.
Okay.
I think that as a police officer here in Keene, this is something that you really ought to think about. In fact, it's your responsibility to think about it. Like.
Think about
I'm just
what?
actually,
Well,
My opinion of the Bearcat?
You know what? Everyone's opinion matters.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a community decision, and you're a member of the community, and I just ask that you think about it. Does this thing really have a place in a peaceful society? Or is this a vehicle of war?
No, it's not up to my decision.
What if I told you that your opinion was important to me? And I'm asking you what you
Well, I
think.
appreciate the fact that you think my opinion is important to you, but again, my opinion doesn't matter in this situation. I'm not going to voice my opinion about it.
I think your opinion
You guys
matters.
have every opportunity to speak. You
Officer?
guys decide at the FOP meeting.
I think your opinion matters, and I hope that you think about this more, and I hope that you come to think that your opinion matters as well, and that you choose to stand up and say thanks, but no thanks.
I'm in no position to voice my opinion
Okay,
right
Chris?
now. Sure.
Okay.
Whatever you want to say.
What do you think about it?
No.
Okay, I tried that. Come on.
You did try, A for effort.
Uh-huh.
I guess my outlook on it is, like, I'm a former military guy, right? And so my thing is that this is a $300,000 armored, essentially it's a tank without gun at the top, but it has gun ports. That's an unnecessary spending of the American people's money, the American people's tax dollars, because cities across the country getting these. I mean, this is going to cost $300,000 per vehicle. I mean, how much money are the American people going to spend on an unnecessary piece of equipment that represents fear and war within their society at a time when the economy is big trouble?
Maybe those questions can be answered on Thursday.
Yeah, I would just encourage, I know you probably don't want to even be out here having this conversation, so thus far the folks we spoke to have been overwhelmingly against the Bearcat, and it's not just us and our group of friends, it's like folks out in the community, so I would ask that you would think about that, and also you do have something you could do. If you didn't think he needed a Bearcat, you could make public your dissent about that, and you saying, I don't think this has a place in the peaceful society.
You have the opportunity, officer, really, you have the opportunity to make a choice. And you know what, any choice that you make, it could really have an impact, and you know what, it could really change things.
Think about the choices I make every day.
But if you do,
Well, let me offer that one to you as a choice and perhaps open up your mind to that.
but if
You
you
guys
do,
can voice your
right,
opinion on it
if
on
you do
Thursday.
think about it and you do conclude
Of course, it will.
that is
We
not
expect it to.
necessary, you could always say, I'm going to refuse to get trained on it or drive it or use it. I don't want to advance it in any way. I mean, each of us are responsible for our actions, and to allow for something like that, you know, you look at the grant proposal, it's all about terrorists, and I have asked people, can you point to one incident when this would have been utilized in Keene? And I don't know of anyone.
Well, maybe they'll be able to answer that question on Thursday. Maybe they can come up with.
Well, if that's the case, then they should pay for it themselves and not steal money from people to pay for it.
Children off the schools to be taught and trained in the roles that benefit and keep the system maintained. I kept them from their history and slowly made them dumb, and that's about the only thing the government's done. I launched a million wars in the name of private greed. Killed off all the natives from the mountains to the sea. I murdered them with slavery and smallpox and guns, and that's about the only thing the governments have done. I built with brick a place for those who wouldn't play my game, who refused to fight my wars for me or papers to my name. I built a giant prison wall so people couldn't run, and that's about the only thing the governments have done.
He can't have an opinion, because then it'll affect his career if he has an opinion. So he actually has to stay neutral. But he makes
That's what allows for this stuff. People need to speak up. They can't stay neutral.
Well, silent obedience perpetuates.
Yeah, exactly.
I kept you apathetic, and this is how I've won, and that's about the only thing the governments have done. Yeah, that's about the only thing the governments have done.